Yeah. Okay.
She also teaches there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so
Okay. How should I sit? Should I sit like this or should I sit like this? Sarah, what's better? Sit like this or sit like this?
It looks like you're more comfortable.
Okay.
But what does it look like? Is your knee just cut off? You know what? Maybe put your leg down for a sec.
No, I can change it.
What makes you more comfortable?
Oh, anything's fine. Are my green socks like my socks?
Oh,
Ah.
okay.
Okay, I'll hide these.
Just press it down.
Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
all right, so can you tell us about yourself a little bit? Like, how long have you been learning violin and what
Mhm.
major you do?
Well, I'm from Vancouver. Should I look at the camera when I answer, or should I look at you? Look at you.
It's fine.
Okay. Answer now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm from Vancouver originally. I was born here, and I started violin when I was 4. And I did my undergrad here in Vancouver, and at UBC. And then when I left to do my master's in Cleveland for 2 years, I came back with the hopes of getting a job with the VSO. It's my hometown band, and Vancouver's home for me. My family and my friends are here, and I was fortunate enough to get a job here in 2009. So this is my 10th season now.
Was it competitive that time to get a job in VSO?
You know, it's a tricky business, auditions. There's a lot of talented musicians coming out of the schools every year, and wait, how should I answer that one? Was it competitive?
Is it like everybody's dream to work for the local orchestra, or people try to
No.
go somewhere else?
I mean,
What's that
people-
like?
I think for musicians, we go where the work is. But for me, you know, I was always set on working in Vancouver. Whether it's when I started out here, I started as an extra. So whether as an extra or as a full-time member, my dream was always to work in Vancouver and raise a family here. Now we have 2 kids. They're 5 and 7, and and sort of been really fortunate to just have everything work out for me.
And did you try any other places before you?
I did auditions when I was in school just to get more experience, but I was always dead set on getting a job in Vancouver.
I see. And violin is the most competitive one?
No, it's all difficult. It's all competitive. I wouldn't say there's like a less competitive instrument, but certainly there's more jobs available because, as you can see from the orchestra, there's the most of us are playing. The majority of the musicians. No, I don't want to say. The largest number of musicians are violinists. So there's definitely more opportunities for violinists.
And how does the violin work? Do you have different, like, first violin, second violin?
Correct. So there's a first violin section and a second violin section, and the majority of the time, the first violin is playing the melody, and the second violin is more of a support role. So when I first got my job in the orchestra, I was playing in the first violin section, and then the job of principal second violin came up, and I took that audition, and I was fortunate enough to get the job, and now I'm playing in the second violin. So I've had experience in both sections, and it's very interesting for me to sort of, as a musician, to sort of see how things work in both sections.
I see. So when you first joined VSO 10 years ago, how would you compare present and that time? Is the orchestra potential?
I would say it's I mean, just from my own standpoint, it's a younger orchestra now, or maybe I'm just older. When I joined, I was the youngest one, and now, you know, conductors come, and there's conductors who are younger than me, and so I'm definitely getting, becoming one of the older people in the orchestra. But it's a younger orchestra, and it's very refreshing. There's been a lot of change in the orchestra. We have new music director now, as you know, and it's a very exciting time for the orchestra.
I see. So I see a lot of more. There are many different programmings every year. So how do you see that as a musician? Do you find that frustrated, like you have to do different kind of music?
No, I think I love everything we do here. I mean, there's really serious classical work that we play, and then we do, like this week we're doing a new music program. Sometimes we'll do children's shows, and we'll do movies. We're doing a lot more movies now, as you know, because those are very popular with the younger crowd, and even the younger and older crowd. They're just very popular because we're doing a lot of nostalgic movies that people grew up watching, and it draws out, all these different shows draw out different audiences. So as a musician, I'm really thrilled to see different people coming to watch us.
So in this past 10 years, what's the most challenging part as a musician here?
For me, I mean, personally, I actually, from my own sort of experience. Like I didn't start playing in orchestra until I was in my 20s. So it's all been sort of a learning curve for me. So it's, you know, it's all new information that I'm taking in, and for me, just personally, it's been it was very challenging in the beginning to play in the orchestra. I definitely found myself overwhelmed at times, and especially when I switched roles to be principal second, I just felt a lot more pressure in the beginning. But you know, I've been very fortunate with colleagues that are, you know, they're much more experienced than I, and I have a great section. I love my section, the seconds. I like the first two, but of course, the seconds, I'm partial to the seconds. And I've been very fortunate with like just mentors and colleagues that I really look up to in the orchestra, and they've helped me out a lot.
Do you guys have young musicians joining VSO all the time, or how often do you get a new member?
Well, when we have job openings, we'll advertise, and then there'll be an audition, a call for an audition, and then people will turn up and they'll compete for the job. So there could be 30, 40, 50 people showing up to compete for that one job. And there have been really, like I think our principal trombone was, he was like 21 or something when he got the job. So there's definitely younger faces in the orchestra now, which is really good to see.
So how about, now you're principal second
Mm-hmm.
violin, so what's next for you? Are you going back to is there like a direction that you are heading?
You know what, I love my job. I love playing second violin. And you know, I'd be thrilled to do this job as long as I'm able to.
I see. And when you say there's an opening,
Mm-hmm.
you guys will recruit new people.
Yes.
So in what circumstance there will be a new opening? Like people
When somebody
retiring?
retires, yes, or vacates the job. Sometimes people they get a job in another orchestra, so they vacate the chair, and then we have the vacancy, and then we advertise.
Does it happen a lot in the orchestra?
It happens a fair bit. We have several. We have to listen to several auditions throughout the year. Like for instance, we have a bass audition next Sunday, and then 2 violin openings. So another audition on Monday for 2 seats in the violin sections. So yeah, it happens quite a bit, and then we're trying to fill other jobs as well. Like we're trying to fill the principal harp and piano. So there's a lot of, yeah. There's definitely a lot of turnover in orchestras. Mm-hmm.
So the people we see on stage today might be very different from 10 years ago when you first joined.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I see. So what's the part that you enjoy the most as a musician here?
Well, I mean, for myself, it goes without saying that I really enjoy being fortunate enough to do something that I love as my work. There's definitely weeks that are challenging, and we have to, it's stressful, but at the end of the day, it's great to be able to, perform for audiences, and I work with really fabulous colleagues, and so I'm very, very fortunate to be in the position that I am.
So when you first started training the violin, was orchestra your goal? Joining orchestra and be part of it?
No, I didn't know what my goal was when I think when I was going to college. By the time I got to my master's, when I was going to school in Cleveland, I was pretty set on getting an orchestra job. But throughout undergrad, I was learning different things. Like you can work on your solo playing or chamber music, which is playing with smaller ensembles, so like a string quartet or piano trio. So I've always really enjoyed doing that. And actually at the VSO, we have a chamber players series where we play with our colleagues, and I really enjoy doing that. That's over at Pyatt Hall here. And so, I think in school I was basically just finding myself and just figuring out what I want to do. And also I love teaching. Like I've taught all throughout college when I was going to school, and I'm still teaching now. And teaching is something that I definitely really love. So, to answer your question, when I was going to school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I know something to do with violin, either teaching or chamber music or a bit of orchestra, but for me, what attracted me to the job was, the repertoire that we play, the music that we play is just amazing. It's such a wide breadth of music that we can cover. There's so many different genres. Like we're doing new music. Sometimes we play romantic music, Baroque music, and there's just a huge amount of music that we can play, and we can only do this with other people. You can't play this by yourself. So that's what really attracted me to playing in orchestra, and I really enjoyed it when I was going to school. So that's when I decided, after a few years of college, that I really wanted to pursue an orchestra career.
I see. How about compared to other orchestra? Is Vancouver, is VSO has played more different kind of music than other
That's an interesting question. I would, I haven't looked too much into that, but I would expect that it's sort of like it's sort of roughly the same. Like, definitely there's orchestras that specialize in Baroque music, so that's the earlier music, Vivaldi and J.S. Bach and Corelli and things like that. But as far as symphony orchestras, like sort of what we do, I would imagine that the repertoire is roughly the same. Yeah.
How about the entire environment, like the city? Do you think the people in the city has changed the audience toward the music?
That's an interesting question.
Do you think it's being valued more than the past?
I'm not sure how to answer that one. Yeah, I'll take a pass on that one.
Okay, sure. How about, do you think that, how about people? And you're teaching too, right? Do you think that more and more people, they start learning music in the city?
I would say that the numbers are about the same. I haven't seen a huge bump in lessons, people demanding lessons. I think most parents that give their children music have the same sort of idea. My children are learning music right now, not from myself, but you just want to give them music. So I'd say like it's been roughly the same. I wouldn't say there's a big increase or decrease, but certainly kids are much busier now than they were a generation ago. Even when I was going to school, I think it's a lot more challenging for kids now. They have a lot more going on. They're certainly more busy. They have more activities, but I would say it's roughly the same. Yeah.
How about any other goal, your personal goal or your career goal in the future?
No. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty content. Yeah.
How about the BSO? Do you guys travel a lot to perform in different countries?
Well, our orchestra doesn't tour a whole lot. Like we did a tour last year, just through a couple cities in Canada, and then prior to that we had one within BC, and then I believe the previous one was maybe about 5 years ago. There's other orchestras out there that tour like 100 days a year, so that's a lot of traveling. So no, we don't. I'd say we do one on average, since I've been here, every 4 or 5 years. I've done 4 or 5 tours now with the orchestra in the almost 12 years that I've been here. So yeah, so I'd say every 4 or 5 years is a tour.
Well, you guys have a lot of guests coming to Vancouver and perform with the orchestra. Do you see more and more different variety? Like sometimes I see Chinese musician coming over.
Yeah, definitely. In the years past, at least in the last five or so years since I've been here, we've done some Lunar New Year concerts, and they've brought in some traditional Asian instruments. Like we had a lady playing the koto, the Japanese. It's almost like the guzheng, yeah. And then and we had a guy from, actually one really memorable one is a guy from Mongolia. And he was playing. It looks like a erhu, but it's called the ma tou qin.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, he was amazing. Yeah, I really want to get that guy back. He was fantastic. Yeah.
I see. Is there any